I think it's fabulous that I'm very lucky that a whole load of my songs have, become new remixes. Right. I tell you that they've got a new life, they've got a new beat, they are played at every party, and in the end I end up owning them all over again. Ladki Beautiful, Kar Gayi Chul is also now people think it's my song. Because it has that one line, Matak Matak jaise Raveena Tandon. Wherever I go now, that song is played for me.
हेलो एंड वेलकम, मैं हूं मयंक शेखर। आप है एबीपी अनकट में और मेरे साथ है एक एक्टर जो पिछले 3 दशक से बॉलीवुड स्टार रही हैं और 2021 में यू कैन कॉल हर अ डेब्यूटिंग एक्ट्रेस ऑल ओवर अगेन ऑन एन ओटीटी प्लेटफॉर्म। रवीना टंडन, थैंक यू सो मच हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए।
That's so sweet. What a sweet introduction. In fact, Salman also said the same thing. I had gone for the promotions of Aranyak on Big Boss. And सलमान ने भी वही कहा। He saying मैंने 91 में एक नई एक्ट्रेस को डेब्यू कराया था और आप लोग के सामने लाया था, और अब मैं वापस एक नई एक्ट्रेस को डेब्यू करा रहा हूँ on OTT platform. So yeah, that was pretty cool. But yeah, always great to talk to you, Mayank. Always great to talk to you.
Thank you. So great to have you, Raveena.
Seriously, I think some of my best and the most honest interviews, brutally honest interviews, have always been with you.
I really hope कि इस बार भी आप disappoint नहीं करेंगी.
Mayank, अभी आपके भी बाल थोड़े ग्रे हो गए, मेरे भी ग्रे. So I think now it's a little too late to change how we've been and how we are going to be.
That is true. But it was interesting, Raveena, जो आपने कहा about Salman and 1991, जो आपकी पहली फिल्म थी, फूल और पत्थर, and 2021. Sorry. And then वो फिल्म को प्रोड्यूस किया था सिप्पी फिल्म्स ने। 30 साल बाद जो आपकी ओटीटी डेब्यू है उसको भी प्रोड्यूस किया है सिप्पी फिल्म्स ने। Is that just a coincidence कि ऐसा ही हुआ?
I think it's a coincidence, but what a beautiful coincidence. And I think we've always been lucky for each other because I think after Patthar Ke Phool there was no looking back for me. And now after Aranyak, it almost seems the same way that history is writing similar things for us.
Right. Do you remember Rohan Sippy, जो कि इस शो के showrunner हैं? Do you remember him from the sets of your first film?
Of course I do. Both of us were such gawky, about entering college students. So yeah, both of us were. We in fact, sit pretty often and kind of think about those days.
It's been ages, of course, and so much has changed around that time. Raveena, जब आप जब फिल्मों को देखती हैं, especially because you're also married to a film distributor, when you look at the film industry per se, जब आप 1991 से compare करती हैं 2021 में, whether it's female characters या lead roles में, या क्या उम्र होगी जो lead roles करते हैं उनकी, what are the big changes जो आप देखती हैं जहाँ तक theatrical business का सवाल है, जहाँ तक Bollywood का सवाल है?
जहाँ तक आपके प्रश्न में 3 प्रश्न हैं। एक तो मैं एक पॉजिटिव चेंज जरूर देखती हूँ। I think everything has changed towards the positive. There's not much negative that I can point out professionally. Professionally, I think लोग ज़्यादा conscious हो गए हैं, aware हो गए हैं, and अभी इतने जैसे पहले I think हम लोग casually लेते थे shoots को, अब वो सब नहीं होता। अब everything is well set, well taken care of, on time. Everything happens by the clock. And of course, technologically also we are years ahead now. Content wise we are doing great. तो I think ये एक बहुत positive change आया है जहाँ तक even equality as far as women in our workplace is concerned. I think that has also improved a lot, though we have a lot more still to achieve on that. But I think that also has improved, including the pay scale. So it is definitely a positive change that I do see. जहाँ तक theatrical का सवाल है, businesses का, I think pandemic की वजह से हमारे theatre owners ने तो बहुत सफर किया ही है, and अभी तक सफर कर रहे हैं. I think that's the only business that has not been able to revive that well, and I think they have only gone through losses because the minute the restaurants opened up, they were running packed. In fact, I was talking to a few hoteliers and they were telling me that hotels have become so busy, like they've not even been that busy before the pandemic hit.
Right.
I think because people were waiting for that outlet. Unfortunately, I think people are still a little wary of entering the theaters with, you know, all kinds of safety protocols still in place. But I'm sure, I hope that the businesses pick up, because if you go to see, our single theater owners have suffered so much that they've been paying salaries, trying to keep the upkeep of the cinemas in the past 2 years. And so many of them have shut down. So that has been a very, very sad situation for our industry. And we are all hoping for the best, that somehow, you know, there's a quick and a good recovery.
Of course. I think revenge consumption जो है, जो होटल इंडस्ट्री में या रेस्टोरेंट इंडस्ट्री में आया है, कि लोग, you know, वापस आना चाहते हैं, घर से बाहर निकलना चाहते हैं. Hopefully वो थिएटर्स में भी होगा. But by and large, रवीना, मेरा सवाल जो था, वो has more to do with the, you know, the structure of the film industry. You know, जब आपने 90s में शुरुआत की थी, and of course you fought very well against it. So एक सोच थी कि हीरो मेल ही हो सकता है, you know, एक मेल डोमिनेटेड मूवी इंडस्ट्री थी. जब आप कंपेयर करते हैं वहां से, and of course you lived through those times, right? जब आप वो कंपेयर करते हैं आज में, उसमें कितना बदलाव देखती हैं? Is it possible, for instance, Raveena, or is it essential कि आप OTT में you find far more elbow room to do things जो शायद अभी भी सिनेमा में possible ना हो?
Well, you know, that definitely I see a change, Mayank, because yes, it was a male-dominated industry, and there was more scope for you know, films which were you know, male-oriented to you know, see releases or do better business or whatever, you know, have you. And that definitely has changed. If you see that there are definitely much more, and especially with Netflix, if you see the lineup of Netflix shows, that they are very strong female driven you know, characters and shows, so it is a great lineup that they have as well. And another thing I feel, Mayank, is that, you know, I think this being the reason that today these OTT platforms have broadened also the horizons of what our viewers are watching. In the 90s, probably you and I had to go to a film festival or something to see different kind of cinema, or to catch a film which is from Iran or, you know, made in Korea or somewhere else. But today, there's global cinema and global, you know, content coming almost there at our fingertips, where we can just, you know, click in and watch anything that's happening around the world. And so I think a lot of different genres, different you know, experimental story ideas and different cultures coming in are kind of also, I think our audiences have now the exposure to all that. So it's in a way liberating for a lot of our filmmakers who wanted to make the kind of content that they would want to for the cinemas, but were restrained or had the constraints of, अरे ये बॉक्स ऑफिस पे चलेगी कि नहीं, you know, ये फॉर्मूला फिल्म है कि नहीं, जब तक हीरो थोड़ा और मारधार नहीं करे, या you know, एक आइटम गाना डाल दो यार, तो 100% you know, पब्लिक आएगी. I think it's kind of sense of freedom that they feel from all those kind of pressures, and that I think works in the OTT platform, because you're not bound with that Friday box office release pressure. And I think hence that has given our you know, filmmakers to go out and try a little more experimental stuff, a little more different kind of content, because of the fact that they know that there is a certain niche audience who has probably seen different kind of cinema, who will still see these shows.
Right.
So it is not कि अरे theater खाली पड़े में experimental था, कोई गया नहीं देखे. You know, it was bold and it was too bold and people didn't go in with their families, people didn't go venture. So that freedom has been lifted off, and hence the you know, I feel the scope of having so many different kind of projects now coming up, and everyone getting a chance to do their bit.
बिल्कुल, like even for you, Raveena, you know, as an actor, इतने साल बाद, you know, could you ever imagine, and not just you, in fact, a lot of the actors that we admired from the 90s, for instance, जैसे सुष्मिता सेन हो in Arya, or you take someone like Pooja Bhatt in a Maharani, and of course you in Aranyak, कि पूरा एक शो आप पर ही centered है, and at the same time ये टेलीविजन नहीं है, ये फिल्म की तरह ज्यादा दिखता है in terms of its the way it's shot, इतने नहीं कि पर 2-3 साल तक चले जा रहा है कोई टीवी शो, quality wise is much superior. So it's actually एक तरह से new cinema देख सकते हैं आप अपने लिए, like a Raveena Tandon 3.0, because Raveena Tandon 1 was 90s. You're a Chitrahar girl. We love you in the movies, dancing. Then there was 2. 2.0 was Raveena Tandon with, say, starting from Shul, which was a little more serious dramas, जहाँ पे centered on you to a large extent, like say film like Daman. And then there's 3 कि अब ये एक वेब शो है जो 8 घंटे तक चलता है, आप पर ही स्थित है, आप पर ही centered है.
I love this headline you've given me, Raveena Tandon 3.0. Yeah, it sounds very cool. I'm very flattered. Thank you, Mayank. But yeah, it is. You are definitely right. It's almost, one can see it that way. And OTT is a different platform for sure. Something that I've never done. Something we all haven't done before, and it's working great for us because it's such. Like I said, even for us as artists, we are not bound with the problems of, oh my God, how will this be accepted? Will I get stereotyped? Will it be accepted? What will the audience think? All those things are not there. You are there, out there, full throttle, giving it your best. And that is something what I'm enjoying doing with the OTT.
Right. But in terms of performance, कितना बदलता है, and also over years, रवीना कितना बदलता है, जैसे कि ये जो particular show है आरण्यक, I think एक sense है कि ये हिमाचल प्रदेश में है, ये जो जगह जहाँ पे आपने शूट किया है, या जो सेंटर ऑफ कोर्स फिक्शनल हिल टाउन है, पर आप जिस तरह बोलती हैं, जो आपके बोलने का जो लहजा है, ये काफी अलग है, थोड़ा सा हरियाणवी टच है आपके बोलचाल में. Is that something that you have to work on? क्योंकि पहले जो
हरियाणवी नहीं है, in fact it was interesting because जो हम लोग ने डिसाइड किया था कि हम लोग सिर्फ जो हमारे बोलने का तरीका है उसमें सिर्फ वर्ड्स में श को स कर देंगे, जहां where it is not hitting in anyone's face, and वो थोड़ा एक लहर रखेंगे बस. That is what it was supposed to be. Right. But actually we had worked on the workshops with another actor who was supposed to play my husband, and then unfortunately when the schedule was about to take off, he fell ill. Okay. And Vivek Madan came in on board, and in fact Vivek started speaking Haryanvi. Then there were a couple of times that we told him also that it's too thet, because that is not, if you see mine, Ashutosh ji, Rana and Bisht and Ram Taran ji, we all speaking normal Hindi, but just because we did not want to categorize anywhere where Sirona is. It is our, just have a little layer and only few words, and we all speaking, even my daughter speaking English words. It's not that even the guide is speaking, but with a little bit of the Hindi tonality. That's all what we wanted. So actually Vivek came and changed the whole thing and became completely Haryani. We're like, now how are we all going to match up to this, because it's very, very different. So, but it was too last minute to change things, and we were all shooting under the pressures of the pandemic and stuff, and so that's where it was. Otherwise, we didn't want such a strong twang. You see, Ashutosh ji and my twang is almost similar. We are speaking Hindi in that normal tone. Somewhere the leh comes only some places where we are speaking to the locals. But when we're speaking normally, like when, and the most beautiful part was what we tried to bring about is the undercurrent chemistry between Param and me. That Param starts being very sophisticated, I start very unsophisticated, and he starts eating with his heart, hand and thing, and I am the one who actually beats first and talks later, hits first and talks later, and he controls me. Towards the end, towards the 5th episode, he's whacking people and I'm controlling him. So little bit we wanted to put in the chemistry, that I start speaking like him, that when he says shuck, and there are some words where he brings Julie and I can't pronounce baptiste, so I don't say baptiste because that's a French word. So just to make it crisper, maybe that got lost in the translation a little. So towards the end, you have seen the sophistication of her as well.
Right.
You know, her Naiji and all this is there, but the suck becomes a little shuck. And then there were few words also that we could not, in the seriousness of the scene, make suck. You know, कि गोविंद जी की बीवी उन पे suck करती है. So that would have sounded very bad for people like you listening कि गोविंद जी की बीवी उन पे suck करती है. So, say shuck.
Right.
There has been a little criticism on that, but we knew that we had to reach out to so many people, and in the seriousness on the shot of the scene where we are actually talking about, we couldn't say Govind ji ki biwi un pe suck karti hai. You know, so I had to say shuck. So we brought that about where it was a conscious decision to say no, don't say suck.
Right. But you know, of course, वो तो एक आपका character arc हुआ जो over a period of time, you know, आप change करती हैं. There's also, you mentioned workshopping हुई इस particular role के लिए, इस particular series के लिए. Back in the day, Raveena, कौन से workshops करते थे आप movies में?
Yeah, scenes used to be written on the set.
Yeah, right. I mean, what, 90?
Or it was a 10-page scene, you had to be all there.
Right. I mean, that's a huge leap, right? For you as an actor, कि आपको समय मिलता है to work on your part, जो आजकल बहुत सारे lead actors को मिलता है. They do fewer films. I think 1998 में रवीना आपके 8 releases थे. अगर आपने सारे workshop किए होते तो it's impossible to have 8 releases, right?
मयंक, उन दिनों में आपको भी पता है, मुझे भी पता है, बहुत इजी था. सिर्फ ये जाके बोलना था, नहीं पापा मैं इससे प्यार तो क्या हुआ अगर गरीब है. So it was, I had to say it all 9 places. So I was very, very happy.
But you know, even in all of those things, so many cool things happened in the 90s, Raveena. Like so many cult films, इतनी सारी उस समय आई. And you know, I can't help but talk about certain cult movies of yours. Like this one that of course that everyone talks about is अंदाज अपना अपना, right? सभी बातें करते हैं, हर रोज बातें करते हैं, कुछ ना कुछ jokes निकलते रहते हैं, memes निकलते रहते हैं उस film से. A friend of yours had also produced that film. Everybody always wants to know कि यार वो अंदाज अपना अपना की sequel बनेगी कि नहीं कभी ना कभी.
I don't think so banegi. I think once a classic is done, and then I read Rajkumar Santoshi ji's statement somewhere saying that if this film is made again, it will be again with all the 4 of them, because this film can't be made without them. So that was really sweet on his part to say so. But yeah, that was the fun part. Yeah.
But is that a film that you watched again and again in the same way कि जितने fans हैं हर रोज देखते हैं fans इस film को?
I've seen Andaz Apna Apna only twice in my life.
Twice in your whole life? That's crazy.
Yeah, once
that's the lowest.
On my own, I think I was on a flight or somewhere, and that too recently, just before my kids. And once, then I sat and watched it with my kids.
That's crazy. You know the other cult film जो शायद लोग उस समय नहीं बात करते थे उसके बारे में, but आजकल बहुत बात करते हैं. It's cult in a certain, you know, subsection of internet. इस फिल्म का नाम है Sandwich, जो 2006 में आई थी. गोविंदा थे उस फिल्म में. Everyone talks about that film now. In fact, Amir Khan told me कि उनकी one of his favorite movies because the fundamental thing about a story is कि आपको पता नहीं कि आगे क्या होने वाला है. इस फिल्म में किसी को नहीं पता होता कि आगे क्या होने वाला है. Do you remember Sandwich?
But I think that is the art of Anees Bhai's filmmaking. He is too good, Anees Bazmi. And you know, when we were dubbing also for that film, I used to be in peals of laughter and I used to say, "Kya mind-blowing bani hai." But unfortunately, I don't know what happened. The title didn't work at that time. People just didn't go in the theaters to watch this film. I don't know what happened. I don't think it did that well as what it should have. But actually, the film, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. I think it's one of Chichi's best. He was so good in the film.
I mean, he recently said कि उस फिल्म को sabotage किया गया और या वो थिएटर पे आई नहीं. Is that true? वो थिएटर पे आई थी कि नहीं आई थी?
I don't remember, yaar. Honestly, I don't know because those days, like you said, we were doing so many films at one go. So it was, you know, we used to dub for a film and honestly forget about it. Now, even if we want to forget about something we've done, we can't because we spend another 25 days just promoting the films.
That's true. But now you can't even forget those films. Now, अभी सब लोग देख रहे हैं. they're all in OTT platforms. नए fans बन रहे हैं, memes बन रहे हैं, share हो रहे हैं. Is that something that you find कि जो आपकी पुरानी फिल्म में जो आपको खुद याद नहीं हो, somebody brings it up कि यार वो film I really loved you, but you don't even remember?
It feels great because I was in conversation on another platform a few days ago, and I was talking about the films that brought me recognition as an actor mostly. Besides, yes, comedy, but I do feel comedy is also very, very tough to do. It's very easy to get someone in the theater, close him in the four walls and make him remember his grief and then make him cry. But to get his grief and make him laugh and have a great time for those 2.5 hours or 2 hours, I think is the biggest blessing ever. And it's tougher. So someone was counting and one of the audience said, ma'am, but I was saying, oh, Satta and Ashul and Aks and Matra and Daman, and someone said, ma'am, Agni Varsha. Agni Varsha was one of your finest performances as well. I was like, yeah, thank you for reminding me, because I don't count that as one of my great performances, but people do. And I think, like I said, thanks to these platforms and today all over on social media, that people still remember things like this.
Right. But of course, the one thing that everyone remembers about you is from the year 1994, Raveena, and the song is called Tip Tip Barsa Pani from Mora. Is there a reason of हाल में रिप्राइज किया गया इन सूर्यवंशी? इज देयर रीजन कि आप उस गाने के बारे में बात करना ही नहीं चाहती?
नहीं, मैंने सब जगह बात की.
Okay.
Yeah. The many like you have been asking me, but Mayank, like I said, I think it's fabulous that I'm very lucky that a whole load of my songs have become new remixes. Right. I tell you that they've got a new life, they've got a new beat, they are played at every party, and in the end I end up owning them all over again. So I mean, it's just a win-win situation for me completely. So I'm very happy about it.
Well, the question there was कि यार अगर अक्षय कुमार
even a fantastic song, fantastically performed by Alia and Sid in Kapoor and Sons, Ladki Beautiful Kar Gayi Chul, is also now people think it's my song. Because it has that one line, Matak Matak jaise Raveena Tandon. Wherever I go now, that song is played for me. And I tell people, but that is Alia's song. So that's what I was saying. I think it's a great situation, and it's got such a great peppy beat, and it's with the new generation. So I completely love it.
No, I think the criticism really online was कि अगर अक्षय कुमार उस गाने पर नाच सकते हैं, who was there in the original, then why not Raveena Tandon, who was also there in the original? Why do you need to bring in anybody else?
But I think वो पूरे फिल्म की स्टोरी फिर कहानी बदलनी पड़ती होती, that cannot be done then. Making the movie, then that cannot be done.
But also as an actor, clearly Raveena Tandon, you moved on from 1994 to 2021. Always a pleasure to watch you, चाहे वो बड़ा स्क्रीन हो या OTT प्लेटफॉर्म हो या over Zoom हो. Thank you so much हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए.
Thank you, Mayank. Always a pleasure doing an interview with you. थोड़ा और मिला करो, please.
बिल्कुल मिलेंगे. Now that things are clearing up a little bit. Thank you so much, Raveena. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.